Thank you for visiting the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast, where we share the big and most interesting cycling stories from across the continent of Africa and from around the world where African cyclists are racing and riding.
Hello, and welcome back to the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be speaking to the incredible Ross Burrage, the co-founder of the Masaka Cycling Club in Uganda. Welcome, Ross. It's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Jeremy. Looking forward to the chat.
So before we get into what you're up to at the moment, tell us about the history of Masaka Cycling.
Yes, well, it goes back to 2018. I think, I've been going to Uganda now for almost 20 years. So 2018, I was training for the Tour de Bide, which is a bikepacking event over in America, and stumbled across a couple of young lads wearing Lycra in the main street of Masaka, and it pricked my interest. So I don't know why I did this, but I got on Facebook, searched Masaka Cycling Club, and just poked them out a question and said, I'm doing a lot of Ks. I'd love some company, and got a response back within minutes. So from an awesome friend who's now a great friend called Miro Michael, and chairman of this little community group called Masaka Cycling Club. So since then, we've just grown to trust each other, joined the dots through connections in the industry and so forth. And I started sharing the story on my own podcast and put it out to all the listeners, and shared the story and asked them if they'd like to participate in a little project over in Uganda. And we pool a small monthly amount. There's 260 of us who jumped in. We pool a small monthly amount. We donate a lot of equipment. I do a lot of the grunt work because I'm going there every 3 months. But I've got a trip tomorrow. Actually, 5 bikes are they're heading their way to Masaka. But yeah, it just happened by chance, if I'm being honest. And yeah, we've been now working on it since 2018, and it's grown to what it is today.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think when you hear these stories, you always seem to find people that just came across something and then got involved, which is very authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a beautiful little story, and it's 100% cycling fan funded, 100% volunteer. It's a global cycling fan project, so we all love it. We adore it.
Fantastic. Well, actually, before we go on, you should share your podcast name so everyone knows about it.
It's called The Hidden Athlete, and it's stories about endurance athletes and those athletes that fly under the radar, those extraordinary people that fly under the radar. But haven't done an episode for a couple of years, mind you. But yeah, got a lot of fans, which is great.
The crazy ones. Yeah, just so people know, like where would you describe Masaka in Uganda, so people can get an idea geographically?
Yeah, well, Uganda sort of cradles Lake Victoria, and the capital is Kampala. So if you head south about 3 or 4 hours from Kampala, you'll find Masaka in Masaka district. It's just been sort of designated as a city, and I think there's around about 300,000 in that small city at the moment. So it's in a relatively poor area of Uganda.
Thank you. And people that have come across you before, if you Google search, everything is orange. You see this incredible Masaka Cycling Club kit in bright orange. Like where did the orange come from?
It wasn't my idea. It was one of the other cycling fans' idea, and I love it. And we've all just sort of jumped on it. We just wanted to stand out. So we wanted to stand out in a peloton. We wanted to know where our riders were. And if you've seen any of our riders in a peloton, it's pretty easy to pick them up. It's a pretty bright orange. So we're running with that, mate.
It's an incredible kit. And it avoids the white short problem that people seem to be going back to.
Yeah, 100%.
And obviously we see that orange kit on the road in real life, but one of the big success stories for Masaka is virtual cycling. So you can see Masaka in that bright orange kit on Zwift regularly. Like when did Masaka see that moment to think virtual cycling is a key thing for you guys?
Yeah, well, again, by chance, Jeremy, to be honest, we had, one of our biggest fans back in COVID, a young lad called Sam Mutton, who's from the UK. And he got to know our little program that we're putting together. And he happened to have the very first two smart trainers that ever existed in Uganda at his home in Kampala. And we contacted each other and he said, "Oh, can you send me some riders? I want to test them and sort of just get a feel for their numbers." This was back in 2020, 2021. And yeah, we sent him some riders and he was blown away. So and he just started cataloging some numbers and we started circulating some riders through there and he was coaching them, or when I say unofficially coaching them, he was trying to encourage them and guide them. And yeah, that was the first exposure. And then we just got to learn the software. Zwift came on board in a big way through the help of yourself and Kim and Jock. And Zwift have been big supporters of the program now for near on 5-6 years. So yeah, thanks to Sam for exposing us because we were sort of we were we were just stuck in COVID in Uganda, just like everyone else was in the world. So getting this exposure to Zwift was very opportune moment.
Yeah, it was an incredible. I think Kim describes 2020 or 19 and 20, that COVID period is like almost like the democratization of cycling because no one could go anywhere. And suddenly we just, as you said, like you guys had Zwift and a few others were starting to use it. And you realize that actually the world has gone a bit flat. And suddenly you've got anyone in the world can use the platform, but also things like the homogenization of the data. It's no longer saying, "Oh, here's a kid in Uganda. How are we going to show him to a coach in Belgium?" You go, "Look, here's his data."
Mate, I tell you that's been an absolute game changer for us. And you can just you've met our coach, Coach Owen, who's based in Beijing. He's been to Africa a few times and obviously has got a good feel for the environment our guys living and trained in. So, but for him to be able to set a program through Training Peaks and then analyze some data, like he will have them, doing 2, sometimes 3 sessions a week, depending on what they're preparing for. And to be able to look at the data, because as you know, we don't have power meters on our cranks or bikes or anything like that. So he needs to get a good feel for what sort of shape they're in and what sort of effort they're putting in. So that's been just groundbreaking for Coach Owen.
That's fascinating. And obviously your orange brand color being the same as Lyft's is quite helpful as well for the
It
marketing.
helps. It helps when our license renewals come rolling around every 12 months. We do whatever we can to make sure we're supporting that Zwift program and that brand. Believe me.
I remember last year I had a call from someone in Zwift marketing saying there's a I think they have a cool thing called the Zwift Day, and all the staff go and talk about strategy and things like this. And there was a video montage from all around the world, and right in the middle was this huge video of Masaka Cycling Club. I think five women just pounding away on Zwift. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. I'm so glad. I'm glad we can help him.
It's a wonderful relationship. So, let's get more specific on the last, say, 12 months or so. Like, how was 2025 for the club? Any athletes that stood out? Obviously, we had the world champs in Africa for the first time. Like, what were your highlights?
Yeah, I think 2012 is our fondest year. Like the years prior we're still call them foundation years or whatever. We're still finding our way. And just trying to uncover pathways and just trying to find a way forward for these kids that are showing the talent that they are. And 2025 pretty much sort of solidified, what's available to us, and what potentially we can produce through the development program. So we had an awesome year. Whilst we didn't have any wins at nationals, we had 7 podiums, which was fantastic. I don't know the actual number. I think we had 12 or 13 top tens. Like most of our riders were in the top 10, which was fantastic across all categories. So that was a massive, massive improvement for us on previous years. We had 3 riders go to I know you're familiar with the World Cycling Centre down in South Africa. And we had 3 riders go down there, get nominated to go down there. And one of the riders was a real standout, and you know her very well, Nantu Maria. So Maria's just turned 19. I know you got to talk to her at Worlds and meet her a couple of times. But probably the most exciting thing for 2005 for us was Maria being selected for that Africa program that UCI funded in the lead up to the World Champs, which was just an amazing opportunity for Maria, amazing opportunity for us to get Maria that exposure. And she ended up representing her nation and her club at World Champs, which was fantastic.
It's a huge moment, isn't it? I think that's one of those things where you have to always take a back step and reflect, because people always just talk about immediately getting into a team and racing, and the gulf between being a club rider and getting a pro contract is so huge. So to see riders like that at 19 getting ready, and yeah, Nantume Maria has that. She has that look and the feel when you talk to her of like someone that's going to be a professional. The guys we work with in Benin have that with Georgette Vignon Fondo. Similar thing, just has that look and feel, same sort of age, but the work that's been done to get them to even have that chance to go to World Cycling Centre South Africa is fantastic.
Yeah, look, when we started this project, we embarked on it was primarily a humanitarian project, if I'm being perfectly honest, just exposing the sport of cycling to the youth of Masaka. And as you know, you're well versed in African talent. These kids expose their talent pretty quickly, and we had to find a pathway, quick, smart for these kids because and Maria was one she's only been riding for 4 years.
Yeah.
And got to the level that she's got to so quickly. But like a long way to go yet. She's just turned 19. We worked our ass off, and I know Kim and you did. Everyone worked their ass off to try and get her a pro ride this coming season. And she didn't manage to secure one, sadly. But she's right. We know she's right on that cusp. So another solid 12 months, we'll hopefully see her in a team next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned World Cycling Centre. I mean, we'll be talking to them on the podcast in a couple of weeks. I mean, they've just announced their women's continental team for 2026. There are 5 African women will be on that team. We won't say who, we know, but we won't say who right now. But there's options now that were never really there before. You have Team Armani women launched. We're hoping to see a squad from them at some point. The Shanolo team have just launched a men's Conti team in South Africa, and they're talking about a women's team for 2027. I think I can say it, but the City Unlock guys, it's a men's continental team in North Africa. They're putting a lot of effort into women's cycling at the moment, and I think there's a chance there'll be a third women's team from Africa up in North Africa as well. So the options for these female cyclists, I think will be much more in 2027. And as you said, she's 19, so we have some time.
Yeah, and I was thrilled to see. I think it was announced. I think you guys announced that the Tour of Burundi is now a UCI rated race, which is fantastic. So that not too far from Uganda. So they're the sort of races we want to expose Maria and some of the other young girls in next year. So they should be able to get down there in national teams and show what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's on the agenda for 2026?
Well, just really, that painful thing about working on a schedule, trying to find races. Jeremy, you know what it's like. That the biggest challenge that we have is trying to find decent competition to expose our riders to. So, yeah, just working on a schedule, trying to find the best races I can around Uganda, which there are none announced at the moment other than nationals. And Kenya, Rwanda, they're the regions we tend to focus on because we can get there by vehicle. So, yeah, just trying to plan that out within our budget, try and get some good competition, get these kids in, elbowing some real local talent around East Africa. And that's really what we're planning out. Coach Owen's got his squad. We've nailed down our scholarship holders for the year. We've got 20 kids in a scholarship, so they're the ones we'll focus on this year. And the other one will be, we've got Maria, who we just spoke about. We've got this young 16-year-old boy called Waswa Hassan, who we want to get down to the World Cycling Centre as well. So hopefully you start hearing his name and before too long.
Another Waswach in Ugandan cycling. So it was a strong heritage.
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
Obviously, we'll see you guys on the virtual platform a lot this year. We'll talk about on another podcast the virtual performance center program that we've not launched in 2026, but we're consolidating and expanding. But Masaka is one of the real core founding sort of stones of virtual cycling in Africa, as we've discussed. What we've done at Africa Rising is create a brand called the Virtual Performance Centers, which essentially will be hubs all over the continent. I think we have 10 in existence at the moment. There'll be 13 to 14 by end of the first quarter, and more to come. We launched in Ghana yesterday, and we're working with Ross, we're working with Owen and his team to really help those other foundations understand how to use the virtual cycling platform as best as possible. So thank you, Ross, for all of your support on that one.
Our pleasure. Like we'd love to see some of those countries come and visit us and spend some time with us, and so hopefully we can play a strong role in upskilling them as quick as we can. Because we've learnt a lot and made a lot of mistakes, so hopefully we can play a part in fast tracking some of those nations for you.
Exactly. How they say that's the way you innovate, isn't it? Break it, fix it, make it stronger.
Exactly.
So how can our listeners support your work and follow you guys?
Yeah, I would love a lot more support and help, believe me. So like I said at the start, this is 100% volunteer, 100% fan funded. So we had this goal of trying to find 500 cycling fans from all around the world chipping in, €5, €10 or something like that a month. If we got 500 cycling fans from all around the world doing that, we could, really fund an amazing program. We've kind of stalled at 260, but we'd love, if podcasts like this can reach out to people who are keen to support African cycling, then go to our website, masakacyclingclub.com, and hit the support button and, jump in for your £5 or €5, whatever it is. It only needs to be a small amount, and come on the ride with all of us, Jeremy. So help us get to that 500 so we can get these kids to races. It's all money well spent, and you'll get a newsletter from me once a month. You get that newsletter, Jeremy, and it's pretty reliable. And we'll come along, join the fight like we have, and jump in and do whatever you can to help.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Let's try and get Masaka to 500 by I was going to say the end of 2026, but let's go for the middle of 2026.
Oh, mate, if you can pull that right, if you can pull that off for us, I'll love you forever, mate.
I might even get a shirt one day. I love that shirt. So, Ross, thanks so much for your time today. We'll catch up with you again soon, and have an amazing trip to Uganda. I'm sure you're going to be sharing content on social media, so I encourage everyone to go and find Masaka Cycling across social media channels. And yeah, hopefully speak to you again soon, Ross.
Yeah, enjoyed the chat, mate, and thanks for all your work out there advocating for African cycling too. Like we rely on you guys a lot, believe me. So, and just having you in the background as a bit of a shoulder to cry on sometimes, or just to give a bit of advice means more than what you guys possibly think. So thanks for all your help too, mate.
You're very kind. Kimberly always says to me, it takes a village. Yeah. That is one of our mantras.
100%.
Thank you, Ross. We'll speak to you soon.
All right, bud. Talk soon.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Africa Rising Cycling Podcast. Please do keep an eye on all our Africa Rising Cycling social media channels for more news and stories, and we look forward to welcoming you back for another episode very soon.